Amulya, are you there? Amulya? Amulya, can you hear?
Okay. Where is Amulya?
Sir, I'm here, sir.
Yeah, where don't you start, please?
Sir, in lecture hall. I'm starting now. Good morning, everyone. My topic of presentation today is minimally invasive surgery in rectal cancer. Coming to the history of minimally invasive surgery, it has been a standard procedure for some surgeries like cholecystectomy and appendicectomy. Short-term benefits of minimally invasive surgery are reduced post-operative pain, decreased need for analgesics, shorter length of hospital stay, and cosmetically pleasing incisions, and earlier return of functionality. Jacob and colleagues first reported case series of first laparoscopic colectomy. Jacob and colleagues first reported case series of first laparoscopic colectomies in 1990. In the beginning, its application was limited to treatment of benign lesions, and the use of minimally invasive surgery in colon cancer raised the concerns of port-site metastasis and inadequate oncological resection. This concern was resolved by large meta-analysis, which concluded that incidence of port-site metastasis was 0.8 0.87% in lab group, while it was 0.34% in open. Concerns over oncological outcomes were also addressed by large RCTs that demonstrated equivalence of lap colectomy to conventional open colectomy in terms of recurrence and survival. Laparoscopic surgery was introduced to colorectal surgery in 1990s, but initially did not include rectum. Prior to rectal cancer trials, the appropriateness of lap technique was evaluated for colon cancer by randomized controlled trials like Barcelona trial, COST trial, COLOR trial, and CLASSIC trials. The results of these trials showed equivalent oncological outcomes and no difference in complications. These landmark trials have set the framework for lap rectal cancer surgery. And minimally invasive colon surgery after these trials have become standard, while the minimally invasive rectal surgery has proven feasible. And the role of minimally invasive surgery for rectal cancer is still controversial and substantial evidence is lacking. Coming to the technical issues of rectal cancer surgery, it is more challenging than colon surgery because dissection of the mesorectal plane is limited by confines of bony pelvis and need to preserve the autonomic nerves while maintaining the clear margins. And challenge of laparoscopic instruments is that they are straight and may have difficulty in pelvic inlet to navigate around sacral promontory and reach the pelvic floor, particularly in obese and narrow pelvis, in particularly lower distal cancers, distal rectal cancers. Coming to the goals of care in rectal cancer patients, oncological goals are overall and disease-free survival. And regarding ostomy, avoidance of permanent stoma and stoma-free survival. Anatomically, organ preservation, sphincter preservation is a goal, and functionally, preservation of quality of life is important. And anorectal and defecatory function, and also sexual and urinary function. Peri and postoperative morbidity, low intra-op and post-op complications. Surgical platforms of rectal neoplasias, sphincter preserving or restorative surgery. It is the various options are open TME, laparoscopic TME, robotic TME, and transanal total mesorectal excision. While non-restorative surgeries are open and laparoscopic APR, robotic APR, and transanal APR. Endoluminal local excision surgeries are colonoscopic EMR, transanal excision, transanal endoscopic microsurgery, TEMS, and transanal minimally invasive surgery, which is laparoscopic TMIS and robotic TMIS. Here I'll be discussing the minimally invasive surgeries. There are currently 3 minimally invasive resective modalities that complement the traditional open operation. They are laparoscopic surgery, robotic surgery, and transanal total mesorectal excision. Coming to the various randomized control trials in minimally invasive surgery for rectal cancer, these are the various trials which I'll be discussing in the later sections. MRC classic trial, Korean trial, color trial, a la carte trial, and roller trial. So the earlier trials, landmark trials of minimally invasive surgery rectal cancer are MRC classic trial, color 2 trial, Korean trial, and the later trials are ECOSOG and a la carte trial. Coming to the MRC classical trial, it was the first trial, first laparoscopic versus open rectal carcinoma trial. The part of MRC classical trial included both colon and rectal cancer. And the study period was from 1996 to 2002. Randomization was done as 2:1 in favor of laparoscopic surgery. Total of 794 patients were recruited, out of which 526 were lap and 268 were open. And median follow-up was done for 63 months. Long-term outcomes measured were overall survival, disease-free survival, local recurrence, and quality of life. Overall survival was 78.3 months in open, and lab it was 82.3 months on an average. And disease-free survival was 89.5 months in open and 77 months in lab. This is a picture showing number of patients surviving at the starting of the open and laparoscopic procedures. And at the end of 120 months, there were 7 patients and 20 patients respectively in open and laparoscopic surgery. Results of this MRC classical trial were there were comparable outcomes between lap and open groups in terms of long-term outcomes such as overall and disease-free survival. And there were a non-significant increase in circumferential radial margin positive rates in lap AR compared to that of open AR. But this did not translate into survival difference at either 3 years or 5 years follow-up. And long-term follow-up of classic trial suggested that lap is suitable alternative to open surgery in the treatment of colorectal cancer. And no difference in local recurrence rates between randomized groups were observed, in particular rectal cancer groups. Coming to the COLOR 2 trial, it's a colorectal cancer lap or open resection trial. 30 hospitals from 8 countries. It was done in 30 hospitals from 8 countries from period of Jan 2004 to May 2010. Inclusion criteria were patients aged more than 18 years with rectal cancers within 15 centimeters from anal verge with no metastasis. 1103 patients were included and randomly assigned to 739 lap and 264 open in 2:1 ratio. Primary endpoint was loco-regional recurrence in COLOR 2 trial, and secondary endpoint were disease-free survival and overall survival. At the 3 years, end of 3 years, they observed that loco-regional recurrence was 5% in 2 groups, and disease-free survival was 74.8% in lab group versus 70.85 in open surgery. Overall survival observed was 86.7% in lab and 83.6% in open group. The results of COLOR 2 trial concluded that lap surgery in rectal carcinoma was associated with rates of loco-regional recurrence, disease-free survival, overall survival similar to those of open surgery. Coming to the short-term outcomes of this trial, the time taken for laparoscopic surgeries was longer. It was 240 minutes in laparoscopic versus 180 minutes in open. Bowel function returned sooner in lap, 2 days in lap versus 3 days in open. And also hospital stay was shorter, 8 days in lap and 9 days in open. And positive CRM was noted in 56 out of 588 patients in lab and 30 out of 300 patients in open group. Median tumor distance to distal resected margin, this did not differ significantly, and morbidity and mortality was similar in both the groups. Coming to the Korean trial, comparison of open versus laparoscopic surgery for mid or low rectal cancer after neoadjuvant chemoradiotherapy. It is a randomized controlled trial that was done between April 4, 2006 to August 26, 2009 at 3 centers in Korea. Inclusion criteria were 18 to 80 years with clinical T3, N0 to N2, mid or low rectal cancer who had pre-op chemoradiotherapy. And 340 patients were randomly assigned as a ratio of 1:1 to open versus lap surgery. And primary endpoint was 3-year disease-free survival. The 3-year disease-free survival was 72.5% for open surgery group and 79.2% for lap. And it was observed that 25 patients died in open group and 20 in lap. And the conclusion of this trial was laparoscopic resection for locally advanced rectal cancer after pre-op chemoradiotherapy provides similar outcome for disease-free survival as open resection. And quality of resection was also similar. Coming to the ECOSOC trial, it is effect of lap-assisted resection versus open resection of stage 2 or 3 rectal cancer on pathological outcomes. It is an randomized control trial done from period of October 2008 to September 2013. It is conducted by credentialed surgeons from 35 institutions in US and Canada. And 480 patients were randomized to lap versus open. 240 were lap and 222 were open. Clinical stage 2 or 3 rectal cancer were included within 2 centimeters of anal verge after completion of neoadjuvant chemotherapy. Primary outcome observed was CRM more than 1 mm, distal margin without tumor, and completeness of total mesorectal excision. Mainly pathological outcomes are measured in the study, and successful resection occurred in 81.7% lap cases and 86.9% open cases, and this does not support the non-inferiority of lap. Operative time was significantly longer for laparoscopic resection. Mean time was 266 minutes versus 220 minutes in open, and there was a mean difference of 45.5 minutes. And conversion to open occurred in 11.3% patients. The primary aim of the current study was to determine whether laparoscopic resection for rectal cancer is non-inferior to open resection. According to the primary this was according to the primary outcome of a composite pathology-based endpoint of total mesorectal excision completeness, negative distal, and CRM results. And secondary aims included assessment of disease-free survival, rate of local recurrence, as well as quality of life. Length of the stay observed was 7.3 days versus 7 days in lap versus open, and complications did not differ significantly. Quality of the TME specimen in 462 operated surgeries were complete. Negative CRM was observed in 90% of overall group, 87.9% in lap resection, and 92.3% in open resection. And distal margin result was negative in more than 98% of patients, irrespective of the type of surgery. Conclusion of the study: among patients with stage 2 or 3 rectal cancer, the use of laparoscopic resection compared with open resection failed to meet the criteria for non-inferiority for pathological outcomes. Coming to the ALACAT trial, it is Australasian laparoscopic cancer of rectum, randomized non-inferiority trial. It was conducted between March 2010 to November 2014, and 26 accredited surgeons from 24 sites in Australia and New Zealand were randomized. 475 patients were randomized to open versus lap, in which open were 237 and lap were 238. T1 to T3 rectal adenocarcinoma less than 15 centimeters from anal verge were included, and the primary endpoint of ALACAT trial was composite of oncological factors indicating adequate surgical resection. Results of this trial showed successful resection in 194 patients in laparoscopic group, which is 82%, and 208 patients in open group, which is 89%. And CRM was clear in 222 patients, 93% in lab group, and 228 patients, 97% in open group. And distal margin was clearer in 99% in lab groups, which is 236 patients, and it was same in open group. And TME was complete in 206 patients in lab group and 216 patients in open group. Conclusion of this trial was among patients with T1 to T3 rectal tumors, non-inferiority of lab versus open for successful surgery was not established. But although overall quality of surgeries was high, these findings do not support the routine use of laparoscopic surgery in rectal carcinoma. Coming to the ROLA trial, which is an RCT comparing robotic versus conventional lap surgery. It was conducted in 10 countries, including 40 surgeons in 29 sites between Jan 7th of 2011 to September 30th of 2014. It was randomized to robotic versus laparoscopic. 237 were included in robotic and 234 in laparoscopic. Primary outcome of this trial was conversion to open laparotomy. And secondary outcome was intraoperative, postoperative complications, CRM positivity, and quality of life. The overall rate of conversion was 10.1% in robotic assisted lab group and 12.2% in conventional lab group. CRM positivity was observed in 14 out of 224 patients in conventional lab group and 12 out of 235 patients in robotic assisted lab group, and other secondary endpoints had no statistical difference between two groups. Conclusion of ROLA trial was among patients with rectal carcinoma suitable for curative resection. Robotic assisted lap surgery as compared to conventional lap surgery did not significantly reduce the conversion rate to open surgery. And robotic surgery, when performed by surgeons of varying experience, does not confer an advantage in rectal cancer resection. Coming to the another minimally invasive procedure, which is a transanal minimally invasive surgery. It is performed by normal laparoscopic instruments through single port transanally. Advantages of this is bottom-up technique, which may proceed even in the presence of substantial visceral obesity, and you can visualize the distal margin, which is chosen at the beginning of the dissection. And it is divided into laparoscopic dummies and robotic transanal minimally invasive surgery. And disadvantages of this approach are it's a different approach leading to incorrect dissection planes, and this may lead to unusual complications, and there might be stretch injury of the sphincter complex, and the learning curve is also cumbersome. It takes around 45 to 51 cases. The another minimally invasive surgery, which is robotic surgery. Advantages of this surgery are better vision with high definition 3-dimensional view. It has an exceptional ergonomics and endovrist technology, and there is enhanced dexterity of movement, and there's a lack of physiological tremor, and it does not require long learning curve. Da Vinci robotic system was approved by FDA in 2000, and Weber et al. First performed robotic colorectal surgery in 2002. It is performed in 2 steps, colonic phase and pelvic phase. And because Da Vinci system cannot self-adjust to allow access to more than 1 quadrant of the abdomen, so separate docking is required for colonic and pelvic phase. And the time consuming and difficult nature of these steps, it led to hybrid technique involving conventional laparoscopic approach for colonic phase and robotic approach for pelvic phase. Total robotic techniques are also there, which involve performance of an entire robotic operation involving single docking or dual docking technique. And the recent one, the Da Vinci Xi system combines functionality of boom mounted system with flexibility of mobile platform. And with this docking system, scope can be placed on any of robotic arms and autofocus. And the oblique disposition of trocar enables completion of splenic flexion mobilization and pelvic phase within single docking technique. These instruments, they have a very wide range of movement from transverse colon to levator ani. And Morelli et al. Compared the use of Da Vinci system, the previous Da Vinci Xi with SI system for rectal cancer, and observed significantly reduced operating time and hospitalization with the former. Coming to the advantages of each surgical option, open rectal, there is haptic advantage and more degrees of freedom and direct visualization. And disadvantages are large incision especially for mobilization of splenic flexure. And in laparoscopy, the advantages, it eliminates large incision and shorter outcomes like a decreased requirement for analgesia, less post-operative stay. But disadvantages, it's labor intensive, there's a high learning curve, and in performing TME dissection, high level of expertise is needed. In robotic, there is advantage of high degree of freedom of instrument motion, maneuverability, and learning curve is also more quicker than laparoscopy. But disadvantages, it takes prolonged time for acute conversion to open if required, and separate redocking is required for pelvic and intra-abdominal phases. And but teaching is not very efficient. My conclusion for this topic is minimally invasive surgery in terms of short-term outcomes is superior to open surgery. And coming to the long-term outcomes like local and distant recurrence and 5-year overall survival and distant-free survival, it did not significantly differ from open surgery according to the previously mentioned trials, while oncological outcomes are comparable to open surgery, and cost-wise, it is more than open surgery. This is the end of my topic.
Amulya, would you recommend laparoscopy in view of the latest trials, which a la carte and ECOSOC, which showed that CRM positivity is high with laparoscopy?
I would
Is it
not.
audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So what is your take on this issue?
Sir, take-home message is oncological outcome is same as open surgery, sir. But still, some more studies are needed. But my opinion is I would recommend laparoscopic surgery.
So why are you recommending it?
What, sir?
Why are you recommending? Reasons for recommending laparoscopy?
Sir, the previous trials which I have mentioned, a la carte and ECOSOC, they are concluding that oncological outcomes like pathological factors did not differ significantly compared to open surgery.
No, but non-inferiority is not proved.
What's it?
Non-inferiority is not ruled out for laparoscopy, both trials. So can you a bit explain how statistically they are saying that non-inferiority is not ruled out? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. So why are they saying that non-inferiority is not ruled out?
Sir, statistically, they have taken confidence interval of 6%, sir.
So
But the range is falling from 12.5% to infinity.
yeah, that's more confusing, no? You explain to the people who are listening why non-inferiority is not ruled out. Am I audible, Amulya?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yes, you have gone into these trials in details. You should be knowing.
Not very sure, sir.
You're not sure?
Yes, sir.
We're not sure. See, the difference is basically there are a lot of things to look into it. They looked into the successful resection. Successful resection, they classified looking into specimen and all. And when the successful resection was the 95% confidence interval between these two, where they defined from what is called minus. So they put up an arbitrary value when it is more than -8. One value, that the lowermost value shouldn't be lower than -8, but in this case it went up to -12. So that is why the non-inferiority is not ruled out. Again, come again. No, anyway, come to the basic discussion. Why if you are saying that laparoscopy can be good enough, maybe it is not inferior in terms of disease-free survival and overall survival. And don't you think that we should do some caution in selecting patients for laparoscopy? So, what are the guidelines recommending? NCCN, ESMO, ICMR guidelines.
For selecting patients.
Pardon? No.
For
What the advice of these guidelines on laparoscopy? Whether it can be done, shouldn't be done, or any advices?
Sir, laparoscopy can be done, sir, but the local and distant recurrences and overall survival did not differ because they were nullified by chemoradiotherapy given preoperatively. So the outcomes were similar for open and lap surgery.
No, we don't know. Actually, the ELACAT and the ACOSEP trial have been published, I think, 2 year or 3 year before only. So the long-term results are yet to come. So we can't say that long-term results are okay. Maybe after 10 year survival or 5 year survival will be different. So the immediate, inferiority of the margin status has not reflected on the survival till now. It's a short-term survival. Long-term, we don't know. So you can't say that laparoscopy is as safe as open surgery in all cases.
Okay.
Anybody can comment on this issue? Any PGs?
Sir, Arun here, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, what NCCN says is that first thing to be considered is that it should be performed by well-experienced surgeons who are well-versed with TME and proctectomy.
Mhm.
The second thing is regarding patient selection. Those patients with high-risk features like threatened or involved CRM should be avoided. And and lastly,
You're reading something, Arun?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Hello, not now, sir. Not now. I mean,
You have time to read it. Anyway. So Amulya, those are the things you missed out. Basically, you can't do it because laparoscopy cannot be thrown away because the advantage and patient acceptance is so much, and we have only suspicion about certain things, and you have you can do it, but circumferential resection margin positivity or margin positivity has to be avoided. For that, there is selection criteria which says that which stick on to looking at the bulky diseases and trying to convert it to open or doing open surgery, and also the complicated cases try to do open surgery. And maybe as a replacement of this thing, whenever usually margin fails at the distal margin
Can I make a
below the
comment?
pelvic diaphragm.
Can we come in?
No, 1 minute, Darren. I didn't talking. And distal margin, and as a solution for that, people have come for TATME. And lot of emphasis and the initial two trials, Bodax trial and also the last trial showed that adult TATME. So people are trying to put in various things to circumvent the disadvantage of laparoscopy. Arun, what do you want to say?
Okay, one point I don't think was mentioned here. One of our alumni had a bad experience. I'm telling you, when you talk about minimal access surgery and rectal surgery, please mention to the patient that there will be an wound, there will be a scar. Patient expectations are very high. They consider a lap colorectal surgery equal to a lap cholecystectomy. And apparently he did a lap colectomy. And the patient, when he woke up, he found the scar and he had a tough time explaining to the patient that there will be a scar. So please mention when in your practical side, when you go out, when you talk to patient about laparoscopy, just mention that there will be a scar in the abdomen first, where we're delivering the specimen out. Because patients are expecting something like a lap chole. No scar, nothing, minimal small scars. So please highlight that also. And that's what does that matter, because a 5 centimeter wound or a 10 centimeter wound, will that 5 centimeter make a difference of 1 day in the hospital stay? It's up to the patient to decide.
But I don't know, the society has already decided for it. If you shy away from that, you will be
No, not shying away. We should not pull the patient, because some patient, unfortunately, the alumni had a
they are
tough time.
pushing us. Now people are pushing us. Not we
No,
are
the
pushing
people
back.
are pushing us because they think it's like lap chole. It's not lap chole. It's not lap chole where you have two small 5 mm ports. This will have a 5 centimeter, at least a 5 centimeter wound for a proper delivery of the wound specimen with a intact specimen.
I strongly disagree with you. The 510 is not the issue. Actually, you seen people doing the radical rectal surgery, the incision which necessitate resection of the mobilized sigmoid colon a little higher up, and it is not as small. So I have seen you are trying to avoid big incision, doing it not this story. If you want, if I want to do an open surgery, my incision is going to be much longer than that. For mobilization of the splenic.
I'm telling about it. When you talk to the patient about a minimal access surgery and colorectal surgery,
Yes,
please mention there is a wound. There will be a wound. Otherwise, they will end up in a soup, because their expectations are very high. And I don't know how the poor fellow had a tough time, it seems, explaining to the bystanders and patients.
See, these things are you are going to face it when you move on to private sector. I'm to PGs I'm talking. So the patient, first of all, patient expect a minimal invasive access surgery, and they expect no stoma, and you have to sort of ensure you do significant amount of practice where stoma is avoided, and you also learn minimal invasive surgery. Otherwise, I don't think they will stick to you. And when you explain, you have to explain this thing also.
But while presenting, no, there was one trial, ACOSO. What is that trial? Australasian trial was there, no? Where, no. One and ask ACOS something.
ACOS from US.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. So there was that T1 to T3 cases are studied together, right? I'm talking to Amulya. You presented a trial where T1 to T3 diseases were selected, right? Stage, TNM, RCT. Is this one?
Yeah, this is.
Somebody should ask Akhil to mute. He's giving all the problems. Akhil, please mute yourself.
Did I hear correctly, or was I wrong? Because it is. I just want to clarify. That's all. I'm not. Because if T1 and T3 were clubbed together, and that too, then they were randomized. Of course, there is this, from our discussion, we have to go into the subgroup analysis, no, to see which are the patients which will be suitable for laparoscopic surgery, and that's how you come to evidences, right? So, was there any mention about that?
I think ACOSO, they include stage 2 and 3, and T1 N0 is not stage 2, it is stage 1.
No, but somewhere the T1 to T3 mention was there.
T1 may come. The indication for neoadjuvant treatment is either it has nodal positivity or more than T2-3 stages. So, so both are equally bad. So laparoscopy is trying to get a good margin in a mesorectum in a T3 tumor, as well as in a T1 N1 tumor. Also, it is trying to get a excision of the mesorectum with intact nodes, with a so-called excision of complete nodes. So both are different. So I don't think if you include T3 N0 and T1 N1, we are not. It is not so different from each other.
Okay.
Any comments, Pijis? Any comments, Madhu?
Yeah, just for sake of postgraduates, I just want to make one comment. So please understand that minimally invasive surgery has been in oncology for quite some time. The one organ where I don't think there is any controversy regarding the utility, superiority, or what equivalence are in terms of oncological outcomes of perioperative care is colon cancer. It has been proven through multiple randomized controlled trials that at least it is as good or superior, or at least equivalence in terms of both pathological aspects, in terms of clearance, in terms of nodal yield, in terms of survival, or all factors. Colon cancer has been proved beyond doubt to be equivalence. The point about rectal cancer is that there are some areas, gray areas, I would say. It's not about doing what you want to do or what we want to do outside RCC or inside RCC. No, that's not the point. The point is, if you purely look at evidence-based practice, there is some lack of evidence in terms of rectum. Basically, because the pathological aspects were a bit on the negative side in terms of CRM positivity or completeness of the mesorectal in terms of the Alacata trial and the ACROSOC trial. That's why there is a bit of controversy about the utility or the generalization of laparoscopic surgery for rectal cancer surgery. But this doesn't apply when it comes to colon cancer surgery. So that is why we are discussing today the role of laparoscopy specifically in rectal cancer surgery. So probably maybe in expert centers or in very experienced hands, that it becomes more important, especially in bulky tumors where you have a T3 or a borderline T4 lesion, which is almost abutting onto the mesorectum. You will have some difficulty in getting a clear margin laparoscopically, probably. That's only area of controversy. That's only one point I wanted to make.
So again, but again,
small add comment along with that.
Who is that?
Shivaranjan, sir.
Yes.
Sir, just for the PG sake, to continue with the same thought process as Madhu sir and Chandramohan sir. Actually, oncological safety and patient safety both are important. And when you start practicing, like I am still in the beginners level, you select your cases. If you think your laparoscopy is going to be equally or more effective than your open, then go for it. Otherwise, go for open. Both are good for the patient, both are good for the surgeons. When you select a patient, that make sure that your laparoscopy is as good as your open surgery or even better, then only go for lap. Otherwise, go for open. That's my small experience. Like when I'm still beginning and I'm still experimenting with both lap and open. So that's what I have learned from my short 4 years, 4.5 years.
My suggestion is slightly different. Actually, I'm the extent of areas you go and inspect is much more. But if you want to do everything with the open surgery, it is going to be little cumbersome and incisions are going to be long. For example, I'll tell you, when you have to first start with the inspection of the liver, each quadrant, then when you come to the T3 dissection, you have to go up to the root of the inferior mesenteric artery and ligate it up to the duodenum. When you need mobilization, you have to go nearly up to splenic fissure, mobilize it. And if you are trying to do everything with the open surgery, it is going to be a cumbersome affair. So only place where we're going to fail is the pelvis, where we need to have sometimes some haptic feedback so that we can have a better margin, and also a bit more manipulation by fingers where you'll get a negative margin. So my advice to PGs who are pursuing laparoscopy should be, don't try to start doing open surgery. You do all the distant maneuvers with the laparoscopy. And when you come to the area of debate, which is pelvis, where it is going to be threatening margin, and don't hesitate to convert. So don't complete open surgery is not the solution. Because there, if you want to do properly without struggling through incisions, you have to proper incision from top to bottom. That is going to be a little difficult. So many of this can be, and patients are more worried about bigger incisions. If you make them accept that it is small incision and it's somewhat acceptable, and incision in the lower pelvis is as good as no incisions. So my advice would be to perform laparoscopy whenever possible and try to do a open surgery when, opening and surgery when the debatable issues, when you reach lower down. So the clearance of TME. So only if the failure of rectum occurs, only when we are trying to do at the level of the sphincter. And and failure occurs if I have asked someone to look into the differences in APRs versus AR, and failure occurs mainly in AR. We are trying to do an AR, and with the rigid, straight-looking laparoscopic instruments, you can't manipulate bit and get a few millimeter margin down. That's a failure. But if you are going ahead with a straight sphincter resection and APR, I think laparoscopy should be good enough. Thank you. Many pages. Abhinaya, would you want to say something? Okay, if no more discussions, then thank you.